Hello. This is the sixth lesson in the seventh fetter, and it's going to be a little bit different than the other lessons you have just had. We're going to talk about the fifth fetter, the aversion, the ill will, the envy, resentment, anger, irritation, annoyance that we have. And we're going to look into how much something out of nothing that you are creating with that. And the reason why I would like, to really sit down and have this talk with you is that the fifth fetter is in many ways really a tough fetter to look at. It's where you feel, Janice says something and you immediately take offense. She's not right in what she's saying. She's completely crossing a boundary. She shouldn't talk like that. That is the fifth fetter. And I know that when you're here, you have worked with the fifth fetter already. So did you also notice that the fifth fetter is very devious in many ways? In the second fetter, when we talk about doubt, and we talk about the emotional indicator of fear and guilt and shame, you're very much aware that the shame you feel is yours. The guilt you feel is yours. The anger and the fear that you feel is yours. You're very much aware of your toxic starting point. You know that it's yours. And that is the step closer to where you can actually let go of the hooks in that. Because you need to own it before you can let go of it. You cannot throw anything out that is not yours. And it's the same with feelings and emotions. You cannot let go of any feelings and emotions until you own them. And that's why it's so important for us not to bypass in any way, but to really own everything that is arising and seeing that, oh wow, I'm identifying with this. And then you can let go of it. The fifth fetter is devious because we do believe that it's them that are at fault. And in many ways, the fifth fetter should have been put earlier than the second fetter. Because knowing that it's yours, owning it and letting go of it, that's a really, really good and very potent place to be. You know that it's yours. You know that it's yours to let go of. In the fifth fetter, you don't. In the fifth fetter, you are really convinced that what you don't want, you are in the right to not wanting Janice to talk to you like that. You are in the right to put down your foot and say no and keep up those boundaries and, don't want to become a doormat. All that diverting onto others, it's a step further away from really letting go. And when you are in different fetter groups and you hear people talk, a lot of them, then they usually say that I'm working with the fourth, fifth, I've been here for quite a while, it's really, really difficult for me to let go. And that is the reason. Because it's not about me, letting go. It is Janice, she is unreasonable, everybody in the office says so. She is unreasonable. Why should I work with that? She's the unreasonable one. It is a step further away from inside because you believe it's outside of you. And that's why we're talking about the bubble of reality in the second fetter, and we're talking about the bubble of reality in the fifth fetter. Because you need them for both. So let's say you have a fifth fetter issue, right? You think that Janice shouldn't be like that. My parents should have been better parents. They were completely dysfunctional. The way they treated us as kids, that was not right. The way that my boss treated me, that was not right. The way that my spouse always forgets to take out the bin or whatever it is, that's not right. Whatever you have that you have an aversion against, or you have envy towards, resentment towards, that you feel ill will, anger towards, you do believe it's something outside of you. The bubble of reality is teaching you that it's not. You're looking into a mirror. You're looking at yourself. It's you that you're reacting to. And with that acknowledgement, it takes you to the second fetter, where you look at you look at your emotional indicators, fear, anger, guilt, and shame. It's also why the verbal indicators, the blaming, shaming, complaining, and explaining, they lie in the fifth fetter. Because when you're complaining about others, or you are blaming others, or you're shaming others, you do believe that you are in the right. They are in the wrong, you are in the right. That is an verbal indicator to you that right now you're absolutely delusional. You believe that they can do something that your life would feel better if they just did that. If the right wing weren't like they were, or the left wing weren't like they were, and all of that. If the office didn't, have the policies that they do, or the country didn't have the policies that you believe that is outside of you. It can't be. It can't be. And the verbal indicators, the blaming, shaming, complaining, and explaining, they're there to remind you, oh, hang on. What did you just say? What just happened there? Do you believe that you are in the right to complain about anything? About the weather, about the politicians, about, what is happening right there? What is happening? You need to take it from an out there issue, you being in the right, they being in the wrong. If only they did what you wanted them to do, everything would be good. You need to pick up the mirror. What are you actually saying? And then you take that to the emotional indicators, the fear, anger, guilt, and shame. In the second fetter, what is this really about? So the reason why we have this conversation right now in the seventh fetter is because the seventh fetter is about something out of nothing. And the seventh fetter, it's beautiful and amazing, and in many ways it's my favorite fetter. Because when it really clicks, it clicks, There is like no going back from that when you really understand how much something out of nothing you're creating all the time. But if you have issues in the fifth fetter, and if there is a lot of pain in you, and there's a deep-seated reason to why you are diverting all the time, if, let's say, you have a deep-seated feeling of low self-worth, that is so icky to feel, that you divert all the time. Every time that sensation comes up, you're standing in a line. Let's say you're standing in a line in the supermarket. There's a long line. They're opening another till. And you are actually the next in line to go over to the till and be the first, but people, they run in front of you and push you out of the way, and suddenly they have, taken your spot in the line and you're pushed behind. That icky feeling that can happen in you is not about the bloody line. It's not about you being pushed out of the way. That icky feeling touches into you being left behind, into you not getting what you deserved, into other people taking ahead of you. That icky feeling is so disgusting to stay with in the body. Just staying there in the supermarket and feeling vulnerable and feeling you're 5 years old and nobody picks you for the football team, or nobody picks you, you're not invited to a birthday or whatever. It's the same feeling. And the body remembers everything. So the sensation in the body is happening. The contraction in the muscles are happening. And because that is so difficult to be with, it's so icky. You're 5 years old and you're standing in line at Aldi, of all places, and feeling 5 years old and feeling vulnerable. If you have done the work, if you're up to here and you have done the work, you know that you can just step aside, close your eyes, breathe into it. Allow the body to experience what it is experiencing. Nobody did anything wrong. There's no rules that needs to be obeyed. Nobody did anything wrong. If anything, you could thank all of them for allowing you to have this insight, right? This is about you. This is about how you identify, how you go about in the world. So pull yourself aside, breathe, feel into the body, feel the knot in the stomach, feel how the tears are pushing, feel all of that, and know that this is not about a line in Aldi this year. Not at all. This is second Fetter stuff. This is all. There's an underlying belief about you being in a certain thing, underlying belief about what other people do against you. You know? The fifth Fetter person would start to be angry or passive aggressive or yell or humph and stomp about and huff and puff and all of that. Completely divert away from the feeling in the body. That is what the fifth Fetter person does. Divert from this feeling that we do not want to feel. If that is you, if you are the fifth Fetter person and you do stomp about and you huff and you puff and all of that, when you catch yourself doing that, pull yourself aside, very, very softly, close your eyes, breathe, feel into the body. What is it that is actually happening right now? It's not about a line in Aldi, I promise you what is actually happening. Then you will feel the contractions, you allow all of it to be. You might even get, a memory from when you were 5 and not invited to the birthday. You know it's not about when you were 5 and not invited to the birthday, because that's not now. That memory is just a metaphor for something that needs your attention, your compassion, and your love right now. So you allow that memory to come up. You say, thank you, right. Now I know. I remember that. Okay, thank you. Let go of the memory. And then you just stay with the body right now. How does it feel to be in this sensation in the body right now? Can you be in a body where this is happening right now? And as you know, it's a yes or no question. Yes, I can. Okay, good. Stay here, breathe. It's 7 to 11 seconds. If you don't add another thought, it's 7 to 11 seconds and it's gone. Otherwise, it's no, I cannot be in a body where this is happening right now. I want to point finger at Janice over there, pushing me out of the line. Okay, calm down. Imagine me and Todd were standing right next to you. Calm down. Calm down. Breathe. Can you be in a body? No, I bloody hell can't. Okay. Can you be with having resentment to what is happening in your body right now? You're resisting what is happening in your body right now. Can you be with that? Yes. Okay. Breathe. Just be with that. You have a non-acceptance of what is happening. It's still happening. But you can stand, you can stomp your little foot, and you can be against what is happening. It's still happening. That alone is creating space for you. And you do not create any story. And if you start to, but, Todd, Pernille, she was pushing me out, and we will just hold your hand and say, it's okay. Breathe. You're right here, right now. What is actually alive right now? You're not in line anymore. They are in line. You're standing over here by, the pots and the Kinderschnitte. And you're standing over here with Todd and I, and we're breathing together, feeling into it. You're not even in line. So let go of that. What is actually happening? What is alive right now? And then you allow that to surface. At some point, when you have done this, and with everything that is coming up in the fifth fetter, you will start to realize how much of this is something out of nothing. Everything is, obviously. Every single thought you have is something out of nothing. In this moment right now, there's nothing to add to it. First of all, the moment is already gone. But right now, let's say we could add something to it, that there's nothing to add. It is as it is, Whenever you think that reality could be different than it is, you have created something out of nothing. Whenever you think that people shouldn't push themselves in front of you in lines and Aldi, you're creating something out of nothing. Clearly, they should. They are. They just did. You cannot argue with reality. They just did. Which means that apparently people should. They just did. The problem with working with the fifth fetter and the seventh fetter in combination, and that's why we have this talk right now, it is, do you see, let's pretend that you have this friend that has a lot of underlying beliefs that they don't want to feel into. birthday, was never invited to anybody's birthday, all of that. 5 years old, never invited to anybody's birthday, all that. That is now another person. If you look at that person right now, and you see how icky it is to feel that, and the person does not want to feel that. Everybody knows somebody like that clearly has issues, but they do not want to work with it. They do not want to go into therapy. They do not want to talk about it. Problems is something we have, not something we talk about. They do not want to go into it. Do you see how convenient something out of nothing in the seventh fetter is for them? It's a huge opportunity to bypass. And that's why we have this conversation right now. Bypassing is something that is so common. So many people are bypassing when we are in the non-duality realm and in the awakening realm. Because staying with the body is really, really challenging. Looking into all those icky sensations and just staying with it is really, really challenging. And even saying that what I experienced when I was 5 and I was not invited to the birthday that I really, really wanted to go to, and my parents completely said, it's fine, you didn't want to go anyway, completely gaslit me. That was just staying in me, and it has created a personality where I'm a people pleaser, and I'm so afraid of people leaving me. I have spent the last 40 years avoiding that feeling. Being that honest towards yourself, it's really, really brave. And then at the same time saying, I now know there was no one that happened to. That didn't even happen. It was something that happened, that I created something out of nothing. It wasn't about that I was not invited. Me being not invited, it wasn't even about me. How could it be? We come to this later when we talk about it in the seventh fetter here. But whatever you remember happened in your past, it didn't. You have a false memory about it. Whatever you think happened is only that, what you think happened. So let's take the situation, 5 years old, there's a birthday, you're not invited. As a 5-year-old, you took that as them not wanting you at the birthday. As an adult now, you know there might be a limit to how many people can be invited. So you not being invited, it wasn't anything personal about you. It could be that the parent that was inviting for the birthday didn't like your parents. It wasn't about you. It could be that the one that had the birthday didn't like you because you smelled. That is even not about you. It's about how the other person olfactory system works. It's not about you either. Nothing can ever be about you. Whatever other people say about you, it can never be about you. It can only be about them. So every single memory you have where you feel neglected, unloved, unwanted, you fill in the blanks. Those memories are not real. It's what you think happened. And you looked at it and you experienced it self-referential. By now you know that is not even possible. You can't even do that. You're never in other people's center of attention. Ever. They are. So just like you made this something about you, they saw the entire situation from their point of view. They made it about them. So they not inviting you to their birthday was not about you. It wasn't about you. It was about them. So every single memory you have is a false memory. It's something that you thought happened. And I really want you to take a paper bag, breathe into it if you need to. Because becoming aware that all the things you for the last 40, 50, 60, 70 years have been believing in, that is who you are. and you have been hiding that because it feels so, so shameful, that is a false memory. That is not true. Whatever conclusion you made when you were 5 was made with an immature brain, with an immature emotional stability. You're not emotionally mature when you're 5. You're not intellectually mature, psychologically mature, spiritually mature at all. You're 5. You're 5. Whatever memory you have from your childhood, it was created with an unfinished brain and an immature intellect and psychology. And you based your entire life on that memory. That is something out of nothing. Breathe. So I would like for you just to close your eyes. Let's just do a very, very short inquiry. Close your eyes. Make a deep breath. And exhale. I would like for you to think of somebody that you do not like. Look at them for your inner eye. You can even recall the incident that happened that you still feel a little bit annoyed, irritated, envious, resentful about. Think about what they did. Think about what they said. And I would like for you to kind of, instead of being in the situation where they are standing there and you are standing there, I would like for you to pull yourself up to the 5th floor. I'm right next to you. Pull yourself up to the 5th floor and look at it from above. You can see them saying it, have the situation on repeat over and over and over. They're saying or they're doing something, or they're not saying or not doing something that is really 5th fetter annoying you. Now you and I, we're sitting and look at it now from the 5th floor, right? Have the situation on repeat. See them do it over and over and over and over. Feel the irritation and annoyance. See how you down there react with irritation, annoyance, anger. Do you see that there's no connection between what the other person says or do not say or do not do, and your reaction? Do you see it's like 2 different movies that are being played simultaneously? Those 2 things are not connected at all. Do you see that? I would like for you to look at the other person. Do you see why that person reacted like they did? Out from their bullshit backpack. Can you set them free to do what they do? And now you, my friend, look at you. Can you set yourself free? Do you understand why you reacted like you did? Why you felt that resentment towards them? Or anger or annoyance or irritation or whatever it is? Do you see where it comes from? Where's the hook tying into? It might be when you're 5 years old or 17 years old. But you're on the 5th floor and you look from the situation where it happened and then follow that string, that hook back into the past. Where it feels like it happened. And I would like for you to zoom into that situation. And the example I gave is when you're 5 years old and you're not being invited to a birthday. But whatever story you have where it's tied into, look at that situation. Do the same thing. Look at the other person. Do you see why they did like they did? Do you see that that came from their bullshit backpack? It wasn't even about you. If it hadn't been you, it would have been someone else. It was never ever personal. They did like they did from their bullshit backpack. And now look at you. You're there 5 years old or however old you are. Do you see how immature that little person is? Even if you're 21 or however old you are in the situation. See how immature that person is. Emotionally, psychologically, intellectually. Do you see that the conclusions made was made on that foundation? Okay, make a deep breath and open your eyes. That is how we dissolve things in the past. That is how you look into the fifth fetter of aversion, ill will, resentment, and the seventh fetter, something out of nothing. So now when you're back here, I would like for you to really reflect on what just happened. And I would like for you to keep going back to this exercise and doing it in your own time. There's going to be an inquiry where we do this much, much slower, and where you can, it's going to be, I'm going to call it the time travel inquiry exercise, where we travel in time and dissolve these things. But do you see how it's connected? It's stories about stories. Remember in the first fetter when I talked about is post-its, and then you react with a post-it about the post-it, and now it's just post-it, post-it, post-it. It's not even about the sensory experience in the body. So if we go back to thinking about the person in the example here, that it's very recent, something that somebody said, didn't say, somebody did, didn't do, and you feel resentment towards it. Think about that. Think about the incident. You can post the video if you need to. Think about the incident. Think about how you're angry or hurt by what the other person said or didn't say. Do you see how that has nothing to do with you? You can even write it down. All the things you think they said or didn't say. Do you think do you see that has nothing to do with you? What they said is based on their bullshit backpack. It's how they see the world. It's got nothing to do with you. Now, what I would like for you to do now is take up the mirror. And whatever they said to you, or whatever you think they said to you, or didn't say, didn't do, hold the mirror up and look how you do that to you all the time. Do you see it? That is the metaphor that we would like for you to look into. Now here with your eyes open and you look at the situation, can you pull yourself up to the fifth floor and see how all that is something out of nothing? The situation that you just created with Janice, let's say. What Janice, she said in the office, let's say. Something about you behind your back. Always a good one. Do you see that it's not about Janice? And do you see when you get aggravated and annoyed and irritated and want Janice to be different? Do you see how you are creating something out of nothing? If it's not about you, if it's about Janice, and you are making it into something about you, do you see how you created something out of nothing? Crazy, right? Now let's look at the verbal indicators. Complaining. When you're complaining about something, do you see how you're creating something out of nothing? You don't want the politicians to be as they are. You want Janice to be different than who she is. You want your partner to do differently. That complaining, do you see how that is creating something out of nothing? Let's do the same with blaming and with shaming. All of them are creating something out of nothing. You're doing it in an attempt not to feel your body. So the due diligence is that whatever you feel in the body that you're trying to divert from with the story where you're creating something out of nothing, detach the story and then just stay in your body with the sensory experience. How does it feel to be in your body right now? Can you be in a body that feels like that right now? And then stay with that. The last thing I would like to say is just point a finger at the bubble of reality. The bubble of reality is revealing and concealing your underlying belief all the time. If something is happening and you react, that is revealing your underlying belief. If you do not react, that too is revealing your underlying belief. If something is happening and you talk yourself out of reacting, that is that is concealing your underlying belief. The bubble of reality is a tool for you to become aware of what is happening. And it's also where you can use the 7 Fetter as a bypass regarding the bubble of reality. And we do not want you to do that. We want you to be in your corner. For the first time in your life, feel that somebody has your back. You have your back. Whatever comes up, whatever you feel, it's okay. It's okay. Whatever you become aware of, looking in the mirror of the bubble of reality, it's okay. You cannot see anything that we do not want you to really just stay with. Just stay with it. Acknowledge that it's there. Create space for it. Feel into where it comes from, because the 5th fetter is only pointing away from you. We want you to look into it. How is this yours? How is this connected with an underlying belief? What in that underlying belief really, really needs your attention? So, let's say somebody, let's say at work, there's a new young secretary that has started and Janice is really, really cruel towards her all the time. She's really bullying her. If you see that and you do not react because you say, no, but it's my bubble of reality, the cruelty that I recognize is in me because I recognize it, so I'm not doing anything. Do you see how that is revealing who you actually are? You're one that is shying away. How was it to be you when you were a child and you were bullied and nobody stood up for you? You are now taking that role. You're just continuing the story. If instead Janice is bullying the secretary and you butt in right away and you stop it right away, that too is saying something about you. Do you remember when you were a child and you were bullied and nobody stood up for you, and now you're standing up for everybody that is being bullied? So what I'm pointing to is there's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong with you becoming aware of where you identify. There's nothing wrong with that. It's beautiful to become aware of all these things. What we would like for you to do is to be in the room. So you have entered the room with the feeling of being a child and being bullied, nobody having your back, and now you're going to show everyone, or nobody having your back and you still don't have your back. Enter that room. Allow yourself to be with that feeling. Can you be in a body where that took place, where that happened? Can you be with you? And once you have been with it, it's not charged anymore. Which means that when Janice is bullying the new secretary, you can pull Janice aside and say, come on, it's not nice to talk to her like that. We should be nice to one another. That is still about you. It's still what you hear. It's still what you think is right. It's still what you think one should do. But there's no charge in it anymore. You're not saying it in front of all the other people, so Janice now have a story about feeling humiliated and all of that. But it's still your story. You're still doing it out of, of your reaction, of your bullshit backpack. You can't do anything else. You can only react with what is within your reality. That's the whole point. But being okay with it is a completely different ball game. Not having any skin in the game. So Janice, you might go straight out and continue bullying the secretary. You can take it to HR if you feel like it. You can talk to the secretary if you feel like it. You can take it to the boss if you feel like it, or not. All that, no matter what you do, is telling something about you. If you take it then to HR, if Janice doesn't do anything and you take it to HR, if you still have a calm feeling in you about it, that you're not agitated, you're not angry, you're not reactive in any way, you're doing what you think is the right thing to do to protect the weak, and that is why you do it. That still says something about you. We cannot escape the bubble of reality, because it is how this meat suit has been programmed. And that is going to be with you always. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. The gift of becoming aware of how much you're creating something out of nothing regarding the fifth fetter is that a lot of that reaction that you have, that diversion that you have pointing over to other people, that is going to relax. And you're going to allow to take it in, take it home, second fetter, work with it, and release whatever needs to be released and own whatever needs to be owned. And from there, you can completely unhook it and it's not an issue anymore. I hope that helped. Next time we're going to see one another, it's in the sofa set with the 10 pointers before we move on to the higher fetters. Thank you.